Hello and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on homelessness. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Health and Human Services, and Department of Veterans Affairs, they consider a person to be homeless if they're sleeping outside in a place not meant for human habitation, such as a car or abandoned building, or in an emergency shelter or transitional housing program. My first guest represents the largest publicly funded homeless shelter here in Milwaukee, and I think we'll learn quickly that they are more than just a shelter. Cindy Krahenbuhl is the executive director of Guest House of Milwaukee. How are you, Cindy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And Guest House of Milwaukee has not only been leading our community in ending the cycle of poverty for nearly 4 decades, you also work to inspire and motivate those who walk through your doors. So, if you would tell us a little bit more about the work that you do.
Yeah, my pleasure. As you stated, we've been around for almost 40 years and we've grown to be more than a shelter. I've been here a little over 13 years, and when I came, we were just an emergency shelter. And so we've, over the years, added many different programs and services that can actually lead to solutions for somebody who is either homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. And so that is a continuum of services, from prevention, where we can prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place, and we can help them pay rent or arrears of some sorts that they might have. We have what's called a rapid rehousing program. So we can take somebody that fits that definition that you described, and we can immediately put them into an apartment, and we will help them pay their rent for the first few months. As I said, we have an emergency shelter, so we can provide urgent needs for somebody who finds themselves homeless, and that's for men only. But we also have transitional housing programs. We have permanent housing programs, where we have an on-site alcohol and drug abuse and mental health treatment clinic, because of many of the people that we serve are dealing with addiction and or mental health issues. And then in the last couple of years, we've broadened our solutions through the services of long-term case management. So we're actually providing this case management for people who are saying they want to be in recovery from addiction or mental health. So you put that all together, and we really can and are prepared to meet people where they're at, that we can then help them overcome this cycle of poverty that might include homelessness.
Yeah, and obviously, you have to really understand the many reasons why individuals become homeless in order to put together programming that is going to help them move forward and be where they would like to be in life. So, for people who really don't fully understand the scope of homelessness, what are some of the reasons why someone would find themselves in this scenario?
Well, probably the largest factors, which is the reason that we have an on-site mental health and addiction treatment clinic, is those issues, people dealing with mental health and addiction. And some families, we know like basically 1 in 4 individuals are dealing with these issues. The difference for someone who finds themselves homeless is they either don't have the natural support of families, which many people are fortunate to have that, or their addiction or mental health has gone on for so long, they've just wore everybody out. And the family and the friends have just had it. And this happens across all social economic groups, all ethnicities. It happens to anyone. It can happen to anyone. And so then we really become that resource where, we don't judge people. They come to our door. They say they're ready to give this a try, and we're here to help support them as they do their work to overcome that addiction or mental health. Sometimes it's job related, especially now with all the uncertainty that's happening in our community, both with the economy and with COVID and its impact. But people can survive for a while, again, with friends and family if they don't have a job. But we see that it's kind of a little bit more delayed reaction if they can't get back into the workforce. And then often, even in those cases, they're trying to cope, so they'll turn to drugs and alcohol to cope. And so then they compound the issues using that as their coping mechanism.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that with us. And Guest House of Milwaukee is the only shelter with mental health and addiction counseling. And you have Southeastern Wisconsin's only transitional housing program for LGBTQ adults and transgender individuals. So, talk about the importance of that.
Well, it was a little bit by a fluke that we began providing that service. It hadn't been something, an area we had focused on, and we had some government grant, and we knew we could do transitional housing, and it wasn't going to serve a large number of people. And we also had a house we owned right next to our main facility. So we started asking around, and quickly discovered that there's such a void of services for people in the this community, so that we asked around if we did this transitional housing program, would it be beneficial? And everybody said yes, 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 1,000 times yes. And so although we serve a small number, we are definitely meeting a need in the community, and we're very happy to do that.
Yeah, there are those main causes of homelessness that we spoke of, the lack of affordable housing, unemployment, poverty, mental illness, and the lack of just needed services and substance abuse. So, with that said, COVID-19 has been described as a crisis within a crisis because all of those things existed before the pandemic. And then you have something like this happen, which almost magnifies those problems 4 or 5 times over. So, how has your organization had to adjust in being able to help people and even more people who have been hit hard by this pandemic?
Yeah, I think from the very beginning, especially our shelter operations, we were seen as essential services and essential workers, and especially in our housing programs as well, because our staff, we've worked through the entire pandemic, and we are often the only person that's the lifeline to the individuals coming to the shelter or living out in their own apartments, and they can't get out for their own health or safety reasons. From the beginning, like everyone else who was doing essential services, we didn't have enough supplies. People were scared. They were frightened. Were they going to get sick? We had some of those early on challenges in our shelter operation. We do all of our meals for our up to 86 guests via volunteers, and we had to stop that. We couldn't serve meals in that way. So how were we going to get meals to these 80 or so men every night and every day, because we do 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. So we had to quickly make adjustments. We found another nonprofit, the Milwaukee Center for Independence, to do the meals for us. And then we sought out support from our community partners, such as the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and United Way, and others stepped forward to help fund the cost of those meals. I would say now, it's wearing on people like it's wearing on everyone else. Our big question now is when will we get the vaccine? We are right now have not been told when we will get the vaccine for people working in the shelters and people staying in the shelters. And so I know it's a hard decision for our lawmakers and everyone to make, but we do feel, again, we're a congregate setting, and our employees are at risk when they come to work each day.
Yeah, and this is a great time to say thank you for all the work that you are doing to help make a difference. We've got the national eviction moratorium set to expire on January 31st. For organizations like yours, I'm just interested in knowing what are your thoughts, knowing that if something's not extended or put into place, this could add another strain to what you do.
Yeah, that's a very interesting situation, because the one thing with the eviction moratorium, it sort of has created a challenge for in our programs that we do find housing. There aren't as many vacancies as there usually is. So even though it's a very good thing, it does create a little bit of a problem on the other side as we're trying to get apartments for people who are new and need apartments. But definitely, if people haven't been able to pay their rent for the last few months, and then the eviction moratorium is lifted and people are going to be evicted. All the shelter space in the community is pretty much full every night.
Mhm.
I can really see that this would create an influx of new people needing the services such as guest house and others offer in the community.
Yeah, and you did mention how you were able to collaborate with other organizations that are here in the Milwaukee area to help prepare those meals and different things that the pandemic kind of put a strain on as far as your organization. So, talk about the importance of working with other organizations and being able to really balance things out with each of you specializing in one thing or another.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of collaboration. Homelessness is a community issue, and I really feel that this community here in Milwaukee does embrace it as a community issue, and
Mhm.
many are around to support us. And from the police who will bring people and into the shelters if they might need it, to people in the community bringing us food and other donations that we need. In the area of employment, there are many agencies in the Milwaukee area that do employment, so there's no need for guest house to do that. So we partner with Goodwill and Easter Seals, and so that we were able to utilize the skill and expertise they have in finding people employment. So in any way that we can, we really try to work in collaboration with others so that we can best serve people and serve the most people that we can.
Yeah, it takes a village, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to find out for those watching how we can all help make a difference because there are, ways to donate time. There's a way to donate money, or even go to Amazon, where many of us shop a lot, and you have a wish list there. So fill us in on how we can actually help out with all the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, those are great ways. Always going, also going to our website. That people can, just either Google Guest House of Milwaukee, or our website is www.guesthouseofmilwaukee.org. We can utilize all the things that you've mentioned. We currently have a need for people to do make meals for the men in shelter. That's a kind of can be a very good group project for a family or a group of workers in a company, or a friends group. On our wish list right now, we're kind of emphasizing that we need men's jeans for the men in shelter. So really there's a variety of ways that people can help. We're also having people do what we call treat bags. So either they purchase baked goods or make homemade baked goods and put them into individual bags with special notes. And then we hand that out to the many people in the various programs that we have.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for your time today, Cindy, and thank you for your hard work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Cindy Krahenbuhl is the Executive Director of Guest House of Milwaukee. For more information on anything that we've discussed today, you can visit their website at guesthouseofmilwaukee.org or call 414-345-3240. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll meet a representative from the Gathering of Southeast Wisconsin. It's a nonprofit organization that is committed to feeding the hungry in mind, body, and spirit. We'll talk to them right after this.